This is the Criterion Creeps podcast, and tonight we're talking about part 1, RJ, of the adventures of Antoine Doinel. Let me read, what is this you say? You didn't ask.
I didn't say anything.
What is this box set? Well, what does Criterion.com have to say? The release of Francois Truffaut's The 400 Blows in 1959 shook world cinema to its foundations. The now classic portrait of troubled adolescence introduced a major new director in the cinematic landscape and was an inaugural gesture of the revolutionary French New Wave. But the 400 Blows, the Blaze, did not only introduce the world to its precocious director, it also unveiled his indelible creation, Antoine Doinel. Initially patterned closely after Truffaut himself, the Doinel character, played by the irrepressible and iconic Jean-Pierre Lude, reappeared in 4 subsequent films that knowingly portrayed his myriad frustrations and romantic entanglements from his stormy teens through marriage, children, divorce, and adulthood. With The Adventures of Antoine Doinel, Criterion is proud to present Truffaut's celebrated saga in its entirety. The feature films The 400 Blows, Stolen Kisses, Bed and Board, and Love on the Run, and the 1962 short subject Antoine Colette in a special edition 5-disc box set.
Wow. This is exactly what I've always wanted, Jarrett. I've always said I want more Antoine Doinel.
So this big fatty of a box set. It's spine 185. We're cracking it open here. But before we dive into that shit, I figured, hey, let's revisit that 400 Blows. And you know what, RJ? I didn't even realize this till I was writing out my notes. It has been 3 years and 1 week since we released our episode on the 400 Blows. Way back.
3 years and 1 week.
Yes.
How did you plan that out, dude?
I didn't at all. I didn't even know. And here we are. It's been that long since we recorded episode 5. Episode 5, RJ. Wow. And here we are at 162.
Do you think we're just as sharp as when we started, or do you think we're starting to get old and lazy with these podcasting things? Because, that 400 Blows episode is one of our most frequently commented on because of particular opinions. And, I don't know if we've ever been able to get that back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Recapture the magic.
Yeah.
Of 400 Blows.
Yeah.
Well, that's a pretty neat coincidence, Jared.
It's real neat. And what even neater is that the day I watched or rewatched 400 Blows, it had been exactly 3 years since I watched it.
So you're doing this intentionally. No. You're a weird dude then.
It's exact to the day. It was like August 25th or something like that. And I was
all your movies in weird cyclical fashion?
Maybe. Our lives are not our own, RJ.
Well, actually,
this is absolute proof of that, I think.
Actually, I did notice that from when I first watched Cruising to when I just watched Cruising was 4 years. Coincidence? I think not, man.
There you go.
Think not.
So
That's
RJ,
the same thing, right? Oh yeah,
400 Blows.
400 Blows.
1959. 400 Blows. One of your all-time favorite titles. Often referenced. So here's a redux. This is a first for us too, where we'll talk a little bit about a rewatch of a movie that we've already covered. But maybe we've grown and matured as individuals in 3 years of watching a Criterion movie or 5 every single week for 3 years. Maybe palates have changed.
Maybe.
So I found rewatching this movie, I paid far more attention to it, or it seemed like things seemed a little bit clearer rewatching it. And yeah, I think I like it more because I remember. Okay, so
interesting.
I remember talking about and laying out a lot of the groundwork for what the French New Wave was back in that episode. So I hung a lot of that on that. But I do remember being kind of like, yeah, I don't know. It's not the most interesting movie or something along those lines. But then watching it this time, I was like, after maybe seeing maybe some of the worst films that the Criterion Collections has, and like seeing a lot more
Which
movies.
ones were those?
People can figure it out. They can
Okay.
they can dig it up themselves. So yeah, like watching it this time out, there's a lot of things that click, and you're like, yeah, this is really good stuff. This is a very nice little movie. But the whole time, I was also thinking at times, I'm like, I wonder what RJ is going to think about this movie now. I was very like curious more than anything else.
Sure.
But I was also because the reputation that the 400 Blows has on this podcast. I'm like, oh, we're going to be watching like a whole bunch more adventures of this particular character,
Alleged.
a little
Alleged character,
a little Antoine, this little fella.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I'm fine with that. I've had no reservations or like anything like that. I'm like, yeah, cool. I'll get these movies watched. That's a nice excuse to do it. So
sure.
I'm curious, RJ.
Yes.
What did you think of your rewatch of the 400 Blows, a movie that you once described as Ferris Bueller? Yes.
Less good Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah.
I maintain this is 100% less good Ferris Bueller. Yeah, I begrudgingly rewatched the 400 Blows, and I think as all folklore and legends go, they tend to inflate over time, Jarrett. Do you follow what I mean? So my infamous hot take on the 400 Blows, 3 years ago to be exact, I think has grown into something more than it is. It's greater than the sum of its parts. Do you understand what I'm saying, Jared?
Are you saying that you are maybe one who exaggerates for effect?
I've never said anything of the sort. But I also don't want to mess around with continuity. So I feel like I would be playing around with my own format if I were to say anything different on the 400 Blows. So 400 Blows. Okay, so I rewatched this, and I actually, same as you, I gave it more attention, I think, than I did the first time. Not like that I wasn't watching it before, but this time I was really like, all right, all you fucking people out there,
all you bitches,
all you stupid nerds who give me such a hard time because I didn't like the 400 Blows. I was like, I'll watch your precious movie, but only because I have to. Savo never comes up again. Walkabout and The Night Porter never come up again. I will never rewatch those movies.
Until the Spine 1200, the Fuck Pack comes out.
The Fuck Pack, where Savo, Cruisin', and the Roseanne movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll watch it. If it resurfaces naturally, I'll rewatch them, but never again. So I rewatched this movie with my critic eyes on, because I was like, I'll give this movie its rightful due, but only because of all of the annoying, pretentious people out there that give me shit for not liking this movie. And I gotta say, Jarrett, I still think they're completely out to fucking lunch. I think this movie's way overrated. However, I will say this. I think I did enjoy it more this time. I think I got a little bit more out of it, and I'll tell you why. But my biggest thing with this is that it seems like I think this falls in the Fight Club category, where the fans of this movie ruined the movie for me, because and that wasn't even the case at first. I think at first I was like, it's not that good, whatever. And then I was attacked by so many people. They're like, it is, do you not know the Marquis de Sade? You don't know about French New Wave? It's the most influential movie of all time. And it's like, all right, fucking relax. All right, just relax, whatever. It's better than I remembered it. I actually think the first half of the movie is pretty good. I like him when he's at school and with his family, which is the first half of the movie, and kind of the dynamic they have. But I think there's still a lot of issues with it. So the movie, I think, totally derails for me when he leaves his house and he stays at his friend's house. I think I get nothing out of that. I think the movie from that point on is kind of uninteresting, and there's not much there. And then the movie itself, I have some problems with the way it's kind of laid out where so you have the parents and at first you have the dad is more sympathetic and the mom is kind of like mean to him. And then you have the role reversal. And I know what you're saying. It's like, well, it's because the son caught her, but that's not the case because after he saw her, she was still shitty to him and the dad was nice. But then they change still afterwards that. And I think it's kind of like I think it's a little bit unwarranted where it's like, yeah, people can get to us. Like the dad's point is like, I've had enough. I'm at my breaking point. But then the mom like has a complete flip. And I'm kind of like, I feel like this is out of nowhere. And I think this is a problem I have with Truffaut in general, where I'll get to it in the next two things, but I think he doesn't always really know where he's going with something. And it seems like he's got too much stuff that he wants to do and it kind of muddles things up a little bit and it confuses his message. So that's kind of vague, but I'll get to that afterwards. But I think it starts in the 400 blows where there's a few things that get lost in what he's trying to say. So all that said, I like him at the school. I like his initial dynamic with his parents. I like the little subtle poverty nods and like how they kind of explore that. But then there's also like weird things. It's like, oh man, those darn kids, they're so bad whenever the teacher turns his back. And it's like, yeah, I know this was like 50 fucking years ago. It's probably what it was like. But then there's things like the weird voiceover memories where it's like the teacher scolding him and he's just like kind of thinking about it again. I get that too, but I think it's corny. You have Hooded Justice. The Watchman character is the classmate who goes and rats on him all the time. I know that those people exist too, but I thought that character was kind of goofy. Kids in cages, just like today. I still think that the zoom in close up at the end is completely laughable. I don't think people are like, it's the greatest final frame ever. It's like, no, it's not. It's goofy. It's dumb. So I will say, this movie is better than when I first watched it. I think the first half is actually pretty good. And then when he goes off on his own to his friend's house, that's where it really loses me. So I don't know. I'm still pretty warm on it. I like it more than I did originally, but I'm still going to continue to shit on this thing just to flex on.
To really prove your point.
To prove my point that my only point is I think people just need to relax. Relax. People make fun of my favorite movies all the time. I don't go online and like write aggressive reviews to other people to show that I'm mad. If you like it, whatever. I don't care. But I don't think it is this landmark film that everyone makes it out to be. And they're always like, oh, the context to it. I looked into it.
You did?
I looked into it, yeah, because of all these people.
You looked into it. What did looking into it consist of?
I did a Google search once, and I read the Wikipedia page.
I see.
I know this. You explained it to me before, like all that, like the French cinema stuff. Whatever. I think Cruising's more influential than this movie is.
I think it's hard to recognize the influence of this movie because it changed so much that like you see movies like this now, you're like, the movie's not a good example of that. But it's like, well, this is a movie that laid the groundwork for everything that you watched now.
Like Spieler?
Like The Sandlot, RJ.
I get it too. Like I understand it's like the life of this scampy kid, and he's always
just getting dumped on no matter what he does. He's the one who gets in trouble, and then you have like the friend that's kind of like the weird kid that I don't know. I think everyone grew up with like there's that one kid who seems to be like his parents are like somehow kind of weirdly rich, and like but it's really strange, and they have like taxidermied animals in their house. It's like I never had that specific experience, but I had like weird kids that you're like, how does their life exist? But it's like kind of there's an illusion to it, and like the kid seems to be able to transport to like the countryside when need be. He's just kind of there, and you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. That's good to have a friend like that in your life. And then you have the parents who. It is kind of like a strange swinging relationship between like how a parent might view you one moment to the next because they have whatever their own shit going on in their lives.
And exactly, and that's what I mean too. It's like I know that happens. Like people swing either way on like day to day on how they feel about stuff, and like certain things can change their opinions. I get it. Like I get all of that. I'm just drawing attention to it.
Yeah.
And like I know what you mean. Like I do think that some of the scampy kid stuff is done well. It's like, yeah, that's totally what kids are like. So I think that all of that's fine. But I don't know. It's my main point is it's like I think people need to relax a little bit.
Well, that goes for a lot of things.
That goes for a lot of things, but like so I buried the lead because of my character that I play for this podcast. But like I think the first half of this movie is pretty good. I think it loses steam as soon as he's
when he's out
friend.
when he goes to lockup and he's
even before that. I think
that point I like though. I like when he's in lockup and stuff like that.
Yeah, the lockup's cool. It's the half an hour in between lockup and the start of the movie, or like that when the whole time with his friend Renee.
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't really like that stuff. Where
they're stealing the keyboard or the typewriter.
Yeah, I think that's whatever. And again, it's like, yeah, I get it. Kids do dumb shit. I did dumb shit.
Mm-hmm.
I get it, man. I never stole a typewriter, but I don't know. And like, yeah, the characters are quirky where like they have all those cats in the room with the taxidermied horse. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool. Like when I was watching, I was like, that's cool. But the everything going on around it, I don't care that much about. It's not bad. The first half of this movie is good, and the last like 10 minutes is good. But I think it just really like there's just a real dip for me, and where I get bored and I'm like, ugh. 400 blows, am I right?
Yeah.
It's okay though. I'll say this: I liked it more this time than I thought I was going to.
Well,
because I went in full on with just raw hatred.
You're rash. Hey, maybe you should take your own advice, RJ, and take it easy.
Just relax. I'm trying to. That's what I'm saying. That's my point where it's like, yeah, it's not bad. I think the first half is pretty good. After that, whatever.
So RJ.
Yes.
3 years after 400 Blows,
Truffaut
comes along with this 30-minute sliver of a short film that belongs to this like larger anthology story that I think was made for TV or something like that. I'm not quite clear on what this is. It was like something called Love at 20 from 1962. And
I was confused when the title came up too, and I was like, what?
Yeah, it's a part of a larger thing. And so this is like,
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
So it picks up where 400 Blows left off. You even get like a little wrap up of like what happened after that.
Mm-hmm.
He got rearrested.
You sure do.
And Antoine Colette, 1962. He got picked up, but he eventually a good psychiatrist came along and saw a promise in this kid. He's like, yeah, you got what it takes, and they kind of got him out of the juvenile delinquency kind of program of whatever France would have had in the era. And they got him straight. He's like 17 years old. He's living on his own. He's working for Philips, putting vinyl into sleeves. He's living the life,
I do know.
Yep. He's still friends with his buddy Renee. And
who's trying to get in good with his cousin.
Mm-hmm. He likes her with long hair,
And short hair.
Yeah. I'd be remiss to not, of course, read the synopsis from Letterboxd. And there's a tagline somehow. Will Colette ultimately fall for Antoine's romanticism?
Is that what it's called?
Now aged 17, Antoine Doinel works in a factory which makes records. At a music concert, he meets a girl his own age, Colette, and falls in love with her. Later, Antoine goes to extraordinary lengths to please his new girlfriend and her parents, but Colette still only regards him as a casual friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
So this is like, it's a little short film.
Sure.
So it just sets up all these little things. There's flashbacks to like the good old days of 400 Blows, hanging out, smoking grandpa's cigars or dad. I'm not sure. It seems to be like dad and grandpa all at the same time.
It's dad
paw. Yeah. Your dad paw, your weird old dad paw. And hijinks, thinking back to the old days.
What kind of jinx?
Hi.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And then then things get kind of going with Antoine's first attempted relationship.
Attempted, it's
Yeah.
probably.
So he's at a concert, and he looks over and he sees a nice pair of gams
Of what? Sorry?
legs.
What does he do afterwards, Jarrett?
He keeps looking at them, and then he starts like making eye contact, and there's some
But then
awkward
what?
back and forth. He starts making a point of being places where Colette's going to be.
What's that called today?
It's called romance, RJ. It's romancing.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I had a different feeling about what he was doing, but
sometimes it's what we call working through the no.
working through the no.
Yeah.
What does the no mean, Jarrett? Does the no mean yes?
Well, the no means you got to try harder.
Right. Is that how you got your spouse and partner?
No, because
No?
that's not how that usually plays out.
So that's not romance then.
Well,
Continue.
It's
Something.
it's not reciprocated.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So anyway, I like this a lot. I thought this
Really?
I like this quite a bit. I think this
Okay.
actually at this point is one of the highlights of the Antoine story.
Okay.
I found this was like a really good depiction of awkward romance that I've seen,
Sure.
because there's like the thing with him like looking at her legs and like kind of like this weird kind of like gazing back and forth in a dark space, and it's just kind of like, huh. Yeah, usually they cut corners and then suddenly people are just like meeting cute and they just get along famously and then they just move along. This is not that. This is kind of like, oh no, there's like a gearing up of Antoine following her at a discreet thing, keeping an eye on her at various concerts, making a point of hanging out at concerts. Oh, maybe she's going to be there. Oh, there she is. And he keeps like making his way closer and closer toward Colette. And then finally, the moment happens, and he strikes like a predator on his prey.
How does he strike, Jarrett?
Doesn't he just start talking to her?
I don't know.
And then
Does he?
then he starts, walking her home. Sometimes she walks him home, and she's just like, "Oh, cool, we're friends." But Antoine doesn't see it that way. Antoine thinks he's doing this elaborate dance of the mating ritual, shaking hands, and hey, when are you going to get together and do this next thing? Splendid. But he thinks, he's like, this is all part of it. This is all how it's going to go down. He meets her parents. They get along famously. They love this nice, neat man, this young man who's got a job. And it's like, oh, he'd make a wonderful, wonderful boyfriend and husband to our daughter. Oh, he's so lovely. He's great. Why don't you like this kid? But she's kind of like, oh, yeah, I know. I'm busy sometimes. And oh, yeah, maybe I'll be around there. Maybe, might. A lot of phone calls. And then soon enough, Antoine's taking the next big leap of, hey, I'm going to move into an apartment down the street from you. Like, barely
Is
down
that
the street.
next logical move?
That's the next logical move for Antoine. Gotta pack up my stuff, haul ass across town. Which, again, like, I love that scene, because it's just like he's got all this shit hanging off of him. Every part of his personal belongings, just walking around with them all. And he's like, "Oh, look at this! I moved in right across the street from you."
What a crazy coincidence!
And they're like,
this
"Oh,
is.
hey, this is great! This is
Oh,
wonderful!"
boy.
And then Antoine and Colette, they have they're hanging out, but she's not available all the time. And then she kind of like begrudgingly goes to another thing with them, and he just starts putting on the moves, just like some real predatorial pause, and hey, we should just start kissing right now. There's no preamble to this. And she's like, nope, shut down. And then they have that awkward moment, and he gets up and leaves. But then, of course, she does the thing that often happens in these situations where she feels bad, and she goes over, what's the problem? What's wrong? It's like, whoa, man. It's just like this, they just feed into one another.
Do they?
This situation. Oh yeah, because now she wants to smooth things over, and it's like sometimes there's no smoothing those things over. It's just
Sure.
it's a dead deal, and so she invites him over. Hey, like, and I know you don't really want to come, but my parents would like to see you. And he's like, oh yeah, sure, I'll come and do that. And he shows up, and it's real awkward. Oh, why don't you guys hang out tonight? No, it's we're busy, haha. Because they're trying to be polite, and then Colette's boyfriend shows up, or her dude, and it's like, ooh, harsh. Yeah.
What else happens though?
What else happens, RJ?
Well, I call this the Duncan approach. I when you read that this was the romanticism, yeah, I can see. I see some merit to what you said about how this is probably what a lot of people do on a regular basis. And maybe it is nice to see creepy stalker weirdo dude Antoine Doinel walking around, because there's a lot of weirdo dudes creeping around, sniffing on girls, watching them play with their hair and stuff. Like he does a lot in this movie, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I get what you mean. I get what you mean, Jarrett. I know what you mean.
There's a lot of pining that I think exists.
There's a lot of pining. Yeah, so this one was this one had a lot of that. This was also the one where I came to the just the revolutionary realization that the French love fruit, because fruit is present at every meal, and it's in the next movie too. Dudes are just always eating fruit. They're like spreading cheese on it.
Is that a French thing, or is that maybe like how people actually ate more healthy back in like another decade, and they're not just eating granola bars and chips and ice cream? Maybe it's just
so it was like every dinner was followed up by RJ, fruit. Is that what you mean?
Not to be body shaming here, but I didn't really see a whole lot of fat people in this. It seems like everybody seems to be living other than the packs of smokes that they're inhaling daily. They seem to be like,
they didn't know that was bad yet, though.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. I mean, fruit is probably a cheap alternative to chocolate cake. You remember that commercial where it was in Canada? I don't know if it was anywhere else, where it was the acne commercial, and that guy was like, "Some people think I eat too many chocolate bars, or I just don't wash my face." Do you remember that one?
I do.
Yeah. See, you get it. So maybe it was just that. Maybe they couldn't afford any chocolate bars. I just noticed there's a lot of fruit in here. Maybe you're right. Maybe it was just
a different time.
Yeah, it's probably cheaper.
It's kind of like the depiction of like most love stories, RJ. Especially in these antiquated eras.
What, have fruit?
No, and have this like stalker quality.
I guess. Yeah, sure. You ever seen Cruisin'? That's got kind of a stalker quality.
Well, yeah, it's all about Big Al, just on the case.
Just on the case. Yes. I understand what you mean. Actually, Andrea tries to make me eat fruit all the time for dessert, and I'm always like, get out of here with that shit. Push her over and yell at her a little bit. It's just no response. He gets it. Actually, Andrea made this chocolate cake that had zucchini in it. It was crazy. You ever had any of that?
Is that even chocolate cake? Isn't that a zucchini cake?
Actually, you ever have those chocolate muffins from Costco?
Yep.
That's what it tasted like.
Yeah, that's what zucchini cake tastes like.
I knew immediately there was zucchini in there, but I'm so fat I just wanted to eat it anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, Antoine and Colette. So part of my discussion about this is a little bit biased from the next one, because I thought in the next movie, this one's inclusion was a little confusing, because I think for two reasons, where in the next one, they either recast the family or they have a different family that he like walks into, and then they have the Colette character walk by, right? So I was like confused. That's what happens, right? But he's like, he like gets out and then he's just like with another family, having dinner with them. Okay, yeah. So like I found that confusing, because at first I was like, did they recast them? But then he passes Colette, right? She's got a baby. Is that
Yes.
So then I was like, okay, that's her. I was like, so it was just the intention that when he got out, he just
he's got an MO.
And like, yeah, so like that's his whole thing, right? Is that he like
befriends
he's constantly getting tagged, like
he presents very well to family and parents.
Yep.
He's very liked. He knows how to do that, which is, I guess, maybe compensating for his terrible relationship that he has with his own family.
And also, he presents very well to prospective employers, and he gets hired a lot. But then he also
gets fired a lot.
He gets fired a lot because he's always goofing, or he gets blamed for a lot of stuff, like in 400 Blows, where it's not necessarily his fault, and he gets blamed for a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So Antoine and Colette, Jarrett, I thought was like a little trite, where like I see what you mean with the like the realistic dating stuff, but when I got into the next movie, I was kind of like, what was Antoine and Colette about? I was like, I guess it's just this guy and like more of him, but this seems less like a short film, like 30-minute thing, and more like a supplementary bonus that could just be like included. And I guess that's what it is.
That is literally what it is.
Okay, but it's just strange that it's like this, it's its own entity that does it have its own spine number?
No, it's a short. It is literally a special feature on the Stolen Kisses disc because it's like it is part of the story of Antoine Doinel. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess like with that being considered, okay. I didn't get a whole lot out of this though. I was watching it and I don't know. Like there's cute stuff like you said where he's moving his apartment, and then the scenes where he's talking across the street from them, and even the ending is kind of sweet when he's just sitting with the parents and they're all kind of like woeful that they're like, well, I guess she doesn't like you. Like I thought the ending was kind of sweet. Watching it like from the entire, like from start to finish though, I was kind of like, meh, I could take this or leave it. And then I did think after, I thought it would have ended nice with just them finishing watching TV. But then it kind of had that weird thing where it was like, sometimes love just works out. Sometimes it doesn't. Oh, well. And it's like those still shots of like people kissing. Did you find that weird? Or is that just...
Yeah, I didn't even know what to make of that. That to me is like, just felt like some perfunctory like thing from the formatting of
just
this
summarizing
this Love at 20 thing. Like I don't know, there's not enough information for that, but it felt so out of place that I was like, I don't think that's anything to do with what Truffaut was doing. Like it just is like this thing. It's like this unrelated coda that was like, oh, did someone like foist this upon it to like explain the story? And it's like, I don't feel like he put that there.
I think, I agree with you. I think with people as hot on 400 Blows as they are, they should be clamoring for more of this fucking shit. So I think this fits with everything. It's like, yeah, sure, just watch 30 more minutes of this dude. I think his love of music is cool, but it doesn't get carried on into the next movie. It didn't seem, at least, but I don't know. It was fine. I thought it was whatever.
Well, see, I think that's like the thing I was when I was watching it, I was like really captivated by like the how they handled like how they first, or how Antoine meets Colette, like in that in the not the theater, at the performance, at the concert, and he's like looking over at her, and he's like, he just can't keep his eyes off her, and keeps looking at her, and he starts making eye contact, and but then they don't talk, and it takes like months before they actually ever talk, and he builds up the courage, or finds the right moment. It's like that weird obsession that I think is a real thing, and he finally, it's like, so it's not like it doesn't try to like show, oh, it just happens naturally, and it's like, no, not in this scenario, because this is the one that's not going to work out, because usually if you have to like contrive this much effort into like talking to somebody and find all these reasons to like hang out, it's not meant to be. But when you're this age, when you're in this level of experience, that's exactly like how it is. You don't know better. You don't know what the signs are. Even though it's like, yeah, Colette, she's gorgeous. She's this like super pretty girl. What? And like, it's like, yeah, she's like dream girl. She's like a doll. Like, of course I want to spend the rest of my life with her and like have beautiful babies and like move away somewhere, and it's all going to be great. We're going to play house. It's like this, like, it's all part of that package. But it's like, yeah, no, you know what? Sometimes, like, even though this person looks like someone you'd like to be with, it's like, and like, yeah, you like have sort of the same interests. It's like, but do you actually have an actual connection with it? And it's like, No, like, but you don't know that. Like, you just think, well, this is what relationships are. They are like this because you make all these excuses and all these, like, well, it's not like this, but that's just like how it is at the beginning. We work through all those things, and it's like, actually, the ones that last, you don't have to deal with any of this bullshit. Like, it's actually pretty. It just kind of like works out pretty effortlessly, like, at least in my experience. Like, there's the ones that you're like putting this much effort into, and these are the ones that like eventually. I mean, I was thinking about while watching this is like, oh man. It's a good thing the internet didn't exist here in 1962 because Antoine would be going online. He'd be finding those subreddits. He'd be coming in one of those incels, talking about ladder theory and friend zones. And soon enough, he's radicalizing and just talking about the Chads and the Stacys. Because this movie's got Colette. She's a regular Stacy here, and she has her Chad. It's all there. Like the framework for Antoine to become that was there, but he was saved because he was born in an era before people had all this spare time to go onto their computers and talk to fellow jaded weirdos.
Shameful. All that relationship talk that you were mentioning, it's kind of like this podcast. It's like we've been waiting it out for so long because we feel like it's working and that we have this relationship, but maybe it's just an Antoine Doinel type thing.
Well,
do you know what I mean?
I have been wondering why I saw you in my driveway recently.
What do you mean?
I don't know. I don't. Maybe it's rude to bring it up now. Here
was
on
that
the air.
picture I sent you outside of your house that one time
with those records,
with that ice cream?
Mm-hmm.
Just doing my own thing. Anyways, yeah, Antoine Colette. I think it's fine. I just whatever. You know what I mean, man? What? You know what I mean?
Stolen Kisses.
What about Stolen Kisses?
1968. Tagline: Antoine knows what he wants to do. His problem is doing it.
What? Does he know what he wants to do?
The third in a series of films featuring Francois Truffaut's alter ego, Antoine Doinel. The story resumes with Antoine being discharged from military service. His sweetheart Christine's father lands Antoine a job as a security guard, which he promptly loses. Stumbling into a position assisting a private detective, Antoine falls for his employer's seductive wife, Fabine, and finds that he must choose between the older woman and Christine.
I think he makes the wrong choice.
He makes the wrong choice. Well, maybe we all do, RJ.
Maybe we all make the wrong choice.
Maybe.
Who isn't looking for that older woman with the short blonde haircut?
Who resembles his mother.
Oh, yeah, she does kind of, hey? Is that intentional, Jarrett?
I think there might be a little bit something to that. Because she's like this woman who's there's some visual cues there, RJ.
The affair woman.
He's looking for a woman that has affairs, and he wants to Freudian analysis. He wants to relive all that. He wants to be part of that moment. He wants to be the cheater with this woman, but he doesn't. He doesn't want to become that man. Or does he?
Well,
can he deny his libido?
Can he?
Can he? And then he reclaim his mother.
Can he?
Return to the vagina, to the womb.
Ooh, Jarrett. Tell me about Stolen Kisses.
This was fine.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You liked Antoine and Colette more?
I did. I really...
Okay.
Of the three, I think that one I got the most out of. I felt more honest. This is like a goofy movie. It's kind of... It goes on... It's on these larks. It never... So, it opens up. Doinel, he's getting out of military jail. Because he's been going AWOL because he's kind of like back where he belonged. Like he's back to his old tricks. So, and Antoine and Colette, it kind of shows that, okay, he grew out of that. He stopped being like the scamp. And now he's got his boring job. He's kind of like this Anthony Perkins type of guy. And now he's just, stalking ladies. And here it's like, well, maybe got his heart broke and got real weird, and then he's like, "Oh fuck, I'm gonna get my life straight. I'm gonna join the military." But it's like, well, he kind of like does it to get the money, because it's like I think there's he joined the French Legion or something like that, and maybe he's gonna get deployed to some shithole somewhere. Doesn't want to do that.
They imply that he did it because he was heartbroken.
Mm-hmm.
Do you buy into that?
There's also the implication that he's doing it for money because he keeps losing jobs and stuff like that.
Right.
But it's funny because like the beginning of 400 Blows, like the whole thing is that he seems to have like a real problem with school and authority. And here we are. The first time we see Doinel, he gets escorted out. He gets met up to before he gets dishonorably discharged. We see a classroom, and it immediately recalls 400 Blows. We're getting a decidedly unwoke discussion about anti-personnel minds and women's bodies, about how you wouldn't just like reach in and grab a woman's ass. You got to work her up first. Well, this character describing what he would do,
Good.
how he doesn't treat a mine when he's having to deal with one, and they're all having a good boys laugh. So we get like a bit of an info dump of like, hey, what's Antoine been up to? It's like, well, he's been doing up to no good. Seems like he's got some girl that he's been writing to on the side, this Christine girl. And but that doesn't stop him from, as soon as he gets out of the army, to like run across town and find a prostitute to have sex with. Like, just he's on it. Like, he's out there.
The Jarrett approach.
He just finds a girl. She doesn't like want to kiss or have him like smell her hair. He's like, enough of this, and he's like, screw this. And he finds another woman that's like more hot to trot for his particular desires of tenderness, I guess. And then he goes and has dinner with his girlfriend. She's off at the moment. This is where I think the thing with
which
RJ's
girlfriend?
Christine.
The one I was confused about.
Yes, because then you see Colette, who's now got a baby. That's like that thing where like that's one of those real moments where you maybe see someone from like in your past and you see that their life's like completely jumped ahead and you go, holy shit! What
happened to you, Jared?
Not really. Not any. No? I'm not one of these types of people who are like going to be like, oh man, I've really got to do something with my life. I'm like comfortable with what I've decided to do, and there's been
like, complacent.
I'm fine. I'm comfortable with those decisions, so it's all good.
Okay, good.
So yeah, so he gets a job that Christine's dad sets him up with, working at a hotel front desk, kind of doing security, but he's really bad at it because it's kind of a farcical type of deal. But soon enough, he winds up becoming a private investigator. And this is kind of where things almost at times feel like a Wes Anderson movie. Something about like the manner of clothes that he wears, these zoom-ins. But there's like a complete total lack of the amazing symmetry that makes a Wes Anderson movie for me. Like those Ozu qualities.
Ozu.
And so, yeah, we get this like backdrop story of a man who is looking for a magician who there's like this implication that there's a what do you call it, a magician lover this man's seeking, as he plays with his hands, one glove uncover, one bare hand, and they're just like he's.
What do you think that implies?
I don't know. What's he into. He's about knots, into rope play and stuff, and he wants to find this man. And then later on, when he finds out he's been married, he rages out.
Well, what do you think that implies?
I don't know, RJ. I don't know. It's just like this narrative that's in the story, but I don't know how it plays into the bigger picture of things.
Okay.
Or at least it's not coming to mind at the moment.
Sure.
So we get kind of like to like the synopsis, I guess, of the movie, where he becomes this private investigator and he's deployed to become a shoe salesman clerk, backroom guy, because he's being hired to watch the shoe seller's wife, this attractive older blonde woman who apparently is having an affair, and the proprietor wants to find out with who.
Well, he was hired to find out why no one likes him.
Is that what it is?
But the company was also hired to track the wife. Yeah. Which is an issue I have with this movie is that everyone is being followed by a detective.
Yes.
And it seems
the cartoonish following.
It seems ridiculous.
Well, I think it's like that's I think Truffaut like making like fun of that trope in film noir and movies, where he's probably because like we've talked about it before. Like when I think about that interview he does with Hitchcock, and we talked about it. I think like in I don't know, episode 3, Lady Vanishes, maybe, or 39 Steps, where he talks about like seeing these movies over and over and over again. Because like you didn't have TV back then, so you went to the theater and you watched movies and you studied them over and over and over again. And I just imagine he watched every movie, and he was always probably like, him and his buddies watching these movies. They're like, oh, look, that doesn't even make any sense. How could this person not know that they're being followed? And so he's like, yeah, we're just going to do that, and we're going to show, yeah, it's really stupid. Like, because he's just like, I'm walking behind you on this completely empty street, because probably in reality, anytime you ever have wanted to follow somebody, it was always like when nobody was around. We even get him to do like a practice test run, it seems, where he's like following this like statuesque woman, and he's like, I'm gonna pretend I'm practicing following, and she's like, this guy's just following me, and then he runs away. So it's like, yeah, they go to that well bit with the following stuff, and there's like other people being followed by other people, and you're like, all these confluences and absurdities, what's happening? Oh hey, the shoe owner, he's the detective from Day of the Jackal, which I just watched like again a couple weeks ago.
Dirty Rotten Scoundrels?
Munich.
The Jackal?
Yeah. No, the
about
detective from
Munich?
Day of the Jackal. The same actor. He's also in Munich.
Eric Bana?
No.
The old guy in Munich?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
Good guess.
Eric Bana?
Good guess that the guy from 1968's the old guy in the 2005 movie.
Well, there's Eric Bana, there's Daniel Craig, and then there's a super old guy. So I
wonder who it might be.
Is it Eric Bana? Okay. So wait, what are you talking about here? Detectives?
Detectives.
Yeah.
Tropey things. So anyway,
what else? Yeah. Continue on.
So yeah, you get these like moments where like now he's investigating himself because he's the man that the woman's interested in.
Right.
You get that delicious irony.
Yes.
And I don't know. He winds up getting fired or quitting something or other, and he winds up back with Christine. She's like tries to get him back through like with tubes in her TV, and he's a TV repairman now. And then they wind up together.
And then what?
They're resigned to live together and exist together forever.
What about that guy at the end?
He professes his love weirdly, and Antoine goes, "Oh yeah, that guy's a real weirdo."
Do you think he really meant that though, or do you think he went?
I think he went, "Oh, is that me?" And then you got to remember, it's like, as mentioned, it's like this is Truffaut's avatar in his own movies.
Right.
He's kind of telling the story of himself. So you always wonder, it's like these guys, do they bring their wives down to see the movies they've been working on, and they're sitting there. It's just like 8.5, where you're like
an 8.5.
You're sitting back and you're watching, and you're looking over at him, and it's like, oh, I get that you can talk out loud about how you have like a mother fixation and you want to like try to like get back with your mother, but like now you're telling me what now? It's always like, huh? Fun.
You did what to who now?
Yeah, you want to do this? You're a shoe salesman?
You think that much of yourself? That's like my life my life as a dog, where the guy was like, every woman in town wanted a piece of this. Old women, young women, every woman. Stolen kisses, Jarrett.
Yeah.
This is where I think that, like I said, with 400 Blows, I think is way more evident in Stolen Kisses, where I think he's got too much going on, and I really felt like I understand that it's a collection of the character, and it's like it's the misadventures of Antoine Doinel, and it's like they don't all have to be the same thing with the same tone. But I really thought
all three movies are fairly different.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like they all seem like really different entities, where they all have totally different like themes and ideas and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, I guess that kind of maybe he's trying to represent life, where you go through these different things. But then I was kind of also like, I wonder if this needs to be Antoine Doinel, or if it could just be completely separate movies.
Well, the other thing too is like, it's not like this is a Truffaut biography, because it's like, well, at this point I'm pretty sure that Antoine should be like, yeah, I want to make movies,
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I don't know if he was this late a bloomer where he still hadn't figured that out and he's doing all these other things. So it's like, there's not like, it's like great, this like direct line, but there's like kind of probably story beats and life things that he's just drawing upon. He's just telling these sort of stories. He's like, 'cause that's the way you make movies, is you tell stories about characters. Cause it's more of like there's more of like a literary kind of element to these movies than a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I know what you mean. And so like that's all I was saying, whereas they all feel like such different entities that I was like, I don't know if they need to be connected. It's like, I guess it's like I said, I guess it's maybe trying to be reflective of life and developing, but what do I know? I feel like this movie is also like not really sure what it wants to be, because I think it has like a lot of tonal shifts throughout, where it starts out and it seems like, I think this movie is described as a screwball comedy. I saw that on IMDb, I believe.
By people who haven't seen it?
Yes, I think so. Because I remember I saw that, and so I was like, "Hey, Andrew, do you want to watch this like alleged comedy with me?" And she's like, "Does it have subtitles?" I was like, "Yes." And she's like, "No, I don't want to watch it." I was like, "Okay." And I'm glad she didn't, because she probably wouldn't have liked it that much.
No.
But I think it's kind of all over the place, where
Yeah.
I think it does have like comedy elements, but then it's so, you have like this detective agency, and everyone is a detective. Everyone is being followed. They're following everyone. And I was like, all right, whatever. But then you have the side stories of the shoe store, and then kind of like all the other jobs he's working on also. And like they make sense together. Like none of them feel like they come out of nowhere. They all kind of flow well together. But I also think that sometimes it goes a little bit like, so when you were saying like the guy who wants to look at the magician and the way he freaks out, I was like kind of taken off guard by that, because I was like, whoa, it's like, is this a serious movie now? Or like when that guy dies, I was like, is that supposed to be comedy or serious?
Go get the dentist.
Yeah. So like, I'm just like, at certain times like that, I was like, is this supposed to be played off like straight or for comedy, or however you want it
It's
to
just
be?
like life, RJ.
You can find humor in sadness, or sadness in humor. Is that what you're saying?
Life doesn't have a tone.
Maybe you're right. I think our life has a tone. Tone deaf. Oh, does that make sense? What does tone deaf mean? You can't hear stuff?
I just don't know.
Who knows, man? I guess that's life. Yeah. Stolen Kisses. It's got stuff in there, man. Antoine Doinel seems like a real chowderhead, Jarrett. A real Goofenheimer, if you know what I mean.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? And so like, yeah, like the tall woman thing, it's like such a physical comedy gag. But then you have like other stuff, and that's what I mean. Like I feel like it kind of like bounces around a little bit too much for me, where I was like, what are you trying to do with this movie, dude? Hey, Truffaut,
Bud.
what are you trying to do, dude? I think it's okay. Like I thought both of these movies were all right. I don't dislike them, but I'm sure me saying I don't dislike them will be met with great opposition, and then it'll make me grow to dislike these movies.
I think there's these movies after 400 Blows. There is definitely diminishing returns as far as the fandom goes. I don't know if there's a lot of
fair weather fans. Hey,
a lot of bed and board stands, if you will.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
This one's got a lot of fruit eaten in it too.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of fruit eaten. This one's got boobs in it. Like full on boobs. So that's cool.
Full on
boobs. There was something else I was going to say. He's not interested in music anymore. I guess your interest changes as you grow up. What else does Antoine Doinel get into in this one? I mean, he's not stealing milk anymore.
Well, he's using those stalking skills he acquired earlier on to attempt to
be
follow
a detective.
people. And he's still as bad as ever.
He's still as bad as ever. Yeah, he's not great, but
no, he's as clinky as a person would really be in life.
Do you think he's going to be happy in the long run? Do you think next week he's going to be okay with the decisions he made, or do you think he's going to be upset that he settled?
I don't know. We're going to find out.
You can't wait, right? Or do you think the next movie is going to be like some kind of football comedy shtick where he's like a pro football player that gets locked up in prison and plays in a prison league?
Like The Longest Yard?
Well, maybe, yeah. I mean, I felt like all three of these things were their own entities, so maybe the fourth one is The Longest Yard.
Oh, shit.
With Burt Reynolds as Antoine Doinel. Or maybe it's the remake with Adam Sandler. Yeah. What do you think, Jarrett?
I don't know. I think I want to look and see who hates these two films.
These two entities of movies.
First up, Antoine Colette. We have Cinnamon, Where Are You At?
I don't know. Cinnamon, Where Are You At?
1.5 star. This second installment to the Antoine Doinel series has the impossible task of living up to the first one. So it basically decides not to and just do its own thing instead. What a waste.
Cinnamon, Where You At? Lives in the Criterion closet. And his profile says, just a lonely shit poster with a cancerous profile. 5-star movies. Cleo from 5 to 7. The fuck? La Ventura. Oh, terrific. Let's see what they have in the half-star reviews. Nothing interesting. The Ben-Hur remake. Who gives a shit? Breathless, they gave 1 star. Okay.
Whoa.
Good
Will Hunty. 1.5 star.
I've come across this person somewhere in my travels.
I couldn't buy Antoine being straight because he grew up to be a textbook twink.
What? Is he a twink?
I didn't cross my mind.
I can't. So Goodwill Hunty has a Twitter handle that I can't say on air because I'd get in trouble. It's a hate crime. Their movies, like favorite films, I don't even know what any of these are. Margaret from 2011, Tropical Milady from 2004, Code Unknown.
Malady?
Milady. No, there's a poster of a guy. I'm looking at the poster, and the ma and the lady look spaced out. Whatever. Code Unknown from 2000. The Adjuster.
You're from your favorite director, Michael Haneke.
Oh, what a bad movie. Goodwill Hunting gave Whiplash a 0.5 star. So that's about as bad of takes as they go. You know? And Truman Show 1 star. Ugh. Gross.
Wild. Okay. Stolen Kisses.
Okay.
Mike is Tall. 1.5 star.
I think he really is, though.
Film number 3 of December Challenge 2. My first attempt at Francois Truffaut left me a little disappointed. Why in the world would you start with Stolen Kisses?
Why even start at all?
It wasn't a bad film by any means.
Okay.
The plot just twisted and turned too many times for my liking. I also might not have been in the right frame of mind. I may or may not have dozed off a few times. This could deserve a rewatch. 1.5 stars. It's
so bizarre what these people rationalize things as.
Just imagine these in a Leonard Maltin's book. Just like them have dozed off. Could deserve a rewatch. It's like, yeah,
I might rewatch it.
Mike is Tall is not getting a book, I don't think.
This person gave Whiplash 5 stars.
Wow, look at that.
They gave Scream 5 stars, but they also gave Infinity War 5 stars. 0.5 star movies. Oh boy, Jarrett. Mission Impossible 2 rears its head again in the 0.5 star section. It keeps coming back.
It's really bad.
And Crystal Skull, Indiana Jones. Yeah. I think that movie's not bad, man.
When's that rewatch happening, RJ?
For me?
Yeah.
I'll rewatch that son of a bitch any day of the week. You tell me when. You tell me when.
Tomorrow.
No, I can't tomorrow. I'm busy.
Teacher Nat. Nate?
Teacher Nat.
2 stars. At least the first 2 Doinels had a point and told a contained story about something. This one felt so modern Hollywood. People loved The 400 Blows. Might as well crank out another one. This is supposedly a series about life, but Truffaut forgot to put feeling in it. And he committed the worst offense of film franchises. Stopping the film at a random point. No resolution. I would call it a cliffhanger, but that would imply some sort of drama, which the film lacked. Also, I understand that Jean-Pierre Lude has something of a reputation, but I must question his acting in this one. I'm currently 2/3 through Out 1 from 1971. His character there is of questionable mental fitness, and it works in that film. But here, he is 3 years prior pretty much playing the same character, and it doesn't work at all. I just don't buy that women would be attracted to this guy. Was the boss's wife pulling a minor Anna Stubblefield?
Who's Anna Stubblefield?
That's what you're here for.
I don't know who Anna Stubblefield is, Jared.
Neither do I.
Well, all I know is that this person's just a Kurosawa fan.
Oh.
Like, that's kind of the only 5-star. Well, it's like Hayamo and Ron. Harry Curie is in there. Rocco and his brothers. Kurosawa's Drunken Angel. Let's go with these half-star reviews. Ooh, Raw 1/2 star. I can get behind that.
Whoa, what is this about? Ex-Rutgers prof who sexually assaulted a disabled man. That's Anna Stubblefield. I don't know. I don't know if I've heard of this tale.
This tale of intrigue.
This is not the true crime podcast, though. That's not what we're here for, folks.
That's wow. Weird and wild times, man.
On a recent Monday in a crowded Newark courthouse, the former Rutgers philosophy professor Anna Stubblefield admitted she touched the penis of a man with cerebral palsy who could not legally consent.
Okay, but how does that in any way relate back to stolen kisses? That because like it's completely consensual. Because she asked Antoine, she's like, "Do you want me to stay for like 2 hours?" And he goes, "Yes."
You want to come to Pound Town?
They agree. They have consensual adult relations.
That's hence the minor.
Is he a minor?
No, I think it's like a smaller. It's not a major. You dig?
I
don't know.
It's that's a fucking bull, man.
Anything can happen here on the Criterion Creeps podcast.
Well, see that we're not scripted. This is
unscripted.
What we do. It's unscripted. Guess what'll happen live? Yep. Mm-hmm. Remember whose line is it anyway?
Yeah.
We're kind of that of podcasting.
Well, that's it for now.
Okay.
After the break, while not banging the boss's wife, it's not even the boss's wife. It's like a guy that you're like been secretly hired to be your boss.
Which one?
I don't know. We're gonna wait, see where things pick up next. I'm sure it's just gonna get better and better, just like in life, right, RJ?
I think life usually only just gets worse, dude. I'm not sure if you're right.
Oh.